But it was my first time that CNN picked up one of my stories, which was a couple selling their baby for $25 for drug money. So that was super horrible and sad. Yeah.
That's Florida.
Yeah. And then the tornadoes. And I was out there one time, like chasing a tornado, thinking, what in the F am I doing?
Welcome to Seacoast Stories, a weekly podcast where we interview the people and businesses of New Hampshire and Maine. I'm Troy Farkas. I've produced some of the most popular podcasts in the world, and since moving to the Seacoast in 2023, I've fallen in love with the area and its inspiring people. And now I am on a mission to bring the Seacoast closer together, one podcast at a time. Today's guest, Erin Ovalle, is someone I wanted to talk to for a long time. I stumbled upon her Instagram a year ago, and since then, I've been enthralled and inspired. She's basically Maine's version of me, except she does it way bigger and better than I do. So maybe I'm New Hampshire's version of her. Anyways, when I made the crazy decision to go full-time with Seacoast Stories last summer, I felt I could build this business because Erin has shown through hers that it's possible. The media business is unforgiving. Local radio, newspapers, and TV have all been on the decline for decades. My brother was laid off from 2 radio jobs, my dad from a half dozen newspaper gigs. So I am intimately aware of how hard this is. So with Seacoast Stories, I've always known this would be an uphill battle. For this to work, I need to creatively combine old media with new media, which is exactly what Erin has done with her business, Maine Life Media. Similar to Seacoast Stories, Maine Life Media tells the stories of the people and businesses of Maine, from Kittery all the way up to the Canadian border. Some of her most popular pieces center on topics like how to make the most of a day in Bangor, Maine, or the top spots to hit in Ogunquit. And while Seacoast Stories does similar things on the Seacoast, our executions are very different. Instead of a podcast, Maine Life Media produces TV shows, several of them in fact, with the flagship show being the one Erin started 10 years ago, Maine Life TV, which has garnered an astounding 9 New England Emmy nominations. Maine Life TV, in addition to a handful of other programs under the Maine Life Media umbrella, air on cable on NewsCenter Maine as well as NBCSports Boston. They also publish all shows on the Maine Life Media YouTube channel, which has 12,000 subscribers. Erin started solo, but now she has a full team building Maine Life Media alongside her. She has a co-host, a COO, a salesperson, and a crew of producers, videographers, and editors, which, that sounds nice. As Erin will tell you, things started slowly for Maine Life Media, but it was only a matter of time before things would take off because of just how well prepared she was from her extensive media background. She began at a small TV station in Illinois, then moved up to Michigan, and eventually made her way on air in Florida in a larger market. But the Massachusetts girl that she is eventually moved to Maine, where, before starting Maine Life Media in 2016, she served as an anchor on morning shows on Portland's ABC and CBS affiliates for years. Additionally, around the time she started her own media organization, she opened up a boutique dress shop in Portland, appropriately called Style Me Portland, which she then closed during the pandemic. On the media side, though, Erin Ovalle is the blueprint, and I am so excited to talk to her from Portland on today's episode, where we discuss how she has built Maine Life Media into the machine it is, why she loves hearing other people's stories, and how the success of the business has allowed her to gradually delegate the creative process to others. Plus, she opens up about the real reason why she moved to Maine and why she originally didn't want to stick around for very long. And on a lighter note, as we prepare to bring Dinner Club to Portland on the 18th, Erin tells us the Portland restaurants we absolutely have to visit. But before all that, a quick geography lesson because it's clear that all of us in New Hampshire and Maine are very confused, so let's start there. A big question I was going around asking people, mainly in New Hampshire this past summer, was, what is your definition of the Seacoast? You would think that geography couldn't be argued, but people got very heated on this subject. My definition of the Seacoast is Newburyport to Ogunquit. Some people would include Portland in that. Some people would say it stops at Kennebunk. Some would say it stops at Kittery. Some would say anywhere there's sea, it's the Seacoast. Do you think Portland is a part of the Seacoast?
I haven't given it much thought, to be honest. However, I always identify the Seacoast with New Hampshire because I've lived in New Hampshire, and that's what I always referred to, like your area over there. And we call the Maine coast the Maine coast. And Mainers are very particular and also prideful of our beautiful Maine coast, which is quite large, as you know.
Right.
So I think it stops at the border.
So Seacoast doesn't extend into Maine.
I mean, I wouldn't think so, but I also,
that's a hot take.
Yeah, wait, tell me about the hot topic. I mean,
it's just people are very prideful also in New Hampshire and
live free. Yeah, I know.
Live free or die. We also can't agree on how many miles of coastline New Hampshire has. Some people say it's 8. Some people say it's 14. Some 18, 22. Can't get a clear answer on these things. But yeah, everyone has a different answer on what their definition of the Seacoast is. And my DMs were lit up with all kinds of weird answers. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, speaking of Mainers being prideful, in one of your videos on the Maine Life Media YouTube channel, I forget who said it. Someone said, without saying it, implied that Kittery is like not real Maine.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. But yes, I mean, there are a lot of opinions about where, Maine south of Portland. And I think Kittery is a huge part of our state and its history.
First town, baby.
Yeah, I love Kittery and I love Kittery Trading Post.
Yeah, shout out.
And I truly haven't been to a place in Maine that I haven't loved, and for different reasons. And Kittery is definitely part of Maine.
Okay. I'm glad that
if you get any DMs and someone screaming at me, let me know.
And then last thing I don't understand. Down east is North Maine?
Yeah.
How does that work?
I don't know. It's just down east. That's it's down east. And down east is, I think, one of the most beautiful places that doesn't get enough recognition. So if you and your listeners are looking for an off the beaten path discovery, I would look at a map and just drive down East Maine, because it is some of the most beautiful, untouched places that I've ever seen, and probably, on par with some of the most beautiful places in the world.
Yeah. Okay, I clearly need to talk to like a map maker who can put all these questions
I had to start making animations on my show because people are like, wait, you're going from here to there, and Maine is so big that it's helped my viewers.
Yeah. Okay, geography lessons coming soon. Enough semantics. I'll ask you more about some Portland things to do in Rex later, but I want to get to the Erin Ovalle story. I really think this story starts when you are interning at WMUR in Manchester. Why did you really want to pursue a media career professionally? And I would just love to learn about your short time there.
I didn't really have any thoughts on pursuing a media career when I was in college. I went to my advisor my senior year and said, I'm a communications and political science major and minor, and I have no idea what I'm doing. I had some connections, family connections to the Red Sox. So I thought maybe I would get into media marketing or something in that world, because I love sports. But she said intern. And I said, okay, well, the only place I know that is in media that's not the radio or print, it's TV, and it's WMUR. I grew up half my life in Hudson, New Hampshire, not that far. So I watched Chronicle growing up and loved that show. And so I thought, what a great way to at least have an introduction to the media world. And so I left Massachusetts, my apartment in Massachusetts, and would drive for the morning show at like 2 a.m. And I don't really remember why I picked that morning show, but I feel like I got so much hands-on experience and learning during that time, and would go out with reporters. And one day, I guess I happened to be there at night because Jennifer Vaughn was the evening anchor, and I had a short little blonde bob, and they said, you look like a little mini Jennifer. And I was like, oh, what a compliment that is. And they said, have you ever thought about being on camera? And I said, no. And they said, well, after the newscast, why don't you, I had this really nice director that was there at the time. And he sat me in front of the teleprompter and recorded me pretending to be a little mini Jennifer. And he recorded it and he was like, you're really good. Like, you should think about this. And I was like, I don't even know, like, what? Like, how do I even get into this? I didn't study it. I didn't go, to Emerson or any of the big communication schools. And so he made me a resume tape. I researched like how to get into broadcast journalism and made a resume tape and sent it to WEIU, which was an on-air internship that usually is for college students, but they did allow some recent graduates. So I applied, I got in, and there I went. The day after I graduated college, I was on a plane and all I could see was cornfields in the middle of nowhere in like Mattoon and Charleston, Illinois.
Wow.
And got my first PBS internship that was on air. I learned how to produce, edit, shoot. It kind of did it all. So
yeah, this is such the stereotypical on-air media story. You study it and then they send you to bumfuck USA for your first couple opportunities. So.
I was getting my hair done at Walmart. They had a super Walmart because they didn't really have, you had to drive like 20 minutes in the cornfields to get to a salon. So yeah. From Newbury Street in Boston to super Walmart in Charleston, Illinois.
The American dream. Wow. So you said you didn't want to get into that field. You make the demo tape. And then you go into media. At what point does it start to shift where you're like, oh, I can really see myself doing this for the long haul?
Well, I actually never wanted to be in news. I, again, watched Chronicle growing up and really loved the storytelling and the lifestyle and the human, spirit part of that show. And back in the day in college, there was another network called Plum TV, which was started by Tom Scott of Nantucket Nectars. And he created this lifestyle brand that lasted early 2000s in different kind of tourism pockets around the country that would have interviews like this and just talk about people in the community and new businesses and kind of the positive things. So I was always attracted to that. But during the early 2000s, our economy was crumbling and there weren't a lot of, everything was getting cut that was happy and positive. So I didn't really enjoy being on the news at all. To be honest, I did not like fighting for stories that were doom and gloom. I can't tell you how many holidays I was out reporting on fires and murder suicides. And, it wasn't something that I was super excited about, but it was kind of a means to an end, which I never saw the end, but I was just kind of going through what I knew would hopefully get me somewhere. And so I'm just thankful that my hard work, came and led me to where I'm at right now.
Yeah, that's why I never wanted to get into news. I got into sports being at ESPN, which we refer to as the fun house of the media environment. It never gets too serious and doom and gloom over there.
I've just witnessed so many horrible things over the years that I never would volunteer to witness again. Yeah. And almost like blacked it out for a while.
Right. It kind of hardens you because you can't let it emotionally get to you when you're on air. You just have to be very buttoned up.
It wasn't until honestly after and maybe even becoming a mom that all of these negative thoughts and stories came rushing back that I think I just kind of blocked out. So I've been dealing with that and continue to deal with that. But I think every decision and every door that opened that I took that was on air led me to where I'm at. So I don't want to, poo-poo my 10 years, I think, that I was on the news, but it definitely was not something I would never go back.
Yeah. Traverse City, Michigan. And then
Traverse City, yeah. Michigan.
Traverse City, Michigan.
A little tiny cherry capital.
Whoa.
Had never heard of Traverse City, Michigan before, but I actually had family ties that my uncle married a woman who lived in Michigan and then they ended up moving there. So I was like, oh, this is a little market, and the media, you go from one to, I think there's 210 markets in the US. And I think Traverse City was 108. And I was like, wow, that would be amazing if I got to my first market and it was 108.
Yeah.
So I applied and I think, through some connections got that job.
And I imagine, especially at lower level stations, you are not just the on-air anchor who shows up and reads the teleprompter.
No.
You are out in the field every day, reporting, shooting, going back to the station, editing your packages, and then delivering them on air, right?
Yeah, I wasn't an anchor. I was a one-person band, so I would shoot all of my own. And they had the huge cameras. Yeah. It was awful. Yeah. It was so hard. And, Michigan's a huge state. So I would be driving 3 hours to a story, having to turn around a package for the nightly news. I had to edit all my own stuff. I had to learn, again, I didn't go to school for broadcast journalism. So I had to learn on the job. And so many people at that station were so annoyed with me because I didn't know what I was doing. But I learned fast. And I think I broke my contract.
Oh,
yeah.
Really?
I was there for, I think, 2 out of my 3 years. And
did they make you sign a non-compete too? Because I know that's a common
I was
thing.
a horrible contract. I was making $20,000 a year and had to pay $6,000 of it just so I wouldn't get sued.
Wow.
But this is a fun fact story. So my roommate, Jake, left first. He was my friend and reporter at the same station. And I think the buyout was $9,000, but he somehow negotiated $6,000 and they let him go. He took out a loan to pay them $6,000. So when I decided I wanted to leave, they were going to hold me to the 9. And I was like, well, Jake got out for 6 and, you can't do that. And so they at least honored that and made me pay $6,000 to get out. And both of us went to the same market in Pensacola together.
Yeah.
And that was where the fun actually started.
Yeah. Local media is a dirty game. Let me tell you. All right. So you go to Pensacola and then you are on air there, right?
Yep. So I started as the bureau reporter in Destin, still doing my own shooting and
much
editing.
Bigger market.
Much bigger market. Yeah. I think, let's see, maybe 60. Maybe I was in the 60s. Making just a little bit more though, because they say the sunshine.
The sunshine tax
is part of the whole package. But I was then promoted over to the Maine station in Pensacola, and that's where I was then a reporter, nightside reporter and weekend anchor. And it was so fun. So, I mean, as much doom and gloom as there was, the newsroom energy was different. I was in between Eglin Air Force Base and NAS Pensacola with Blue Angels flying around me at all times at the same bars. Like, it was so fun to be 24 and single and in Pensacola. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, these are the years, these are what? Early mid 2000s. So local TV is still a major player at this point. It hasn't quite gone downhill as much as it has these days.
And WEAR was the station and they were the number 1 in the market. And there was, some confidence that went along with, especially the main anchors really being recognized. And it was fun. I really enjoyed my time in Florida as much as I wasn't thrilled about the stories I was covering. But I kind of finagled my way to become the education reporter there. So I wasn't, doing as many horrible live shots, but it was my first time that CNN picked up one of my stories, which was a couple selling their baby for $25 for drug money. So that was super horrible and sad. Yeah.
That's Florida.
Yeah. And then the tornadoes. And I was out there one time, seeing chasing a tornado thinking, what in the F am I doing?
Yeah.
What am I doing with my life?
Yeah. And I think why I don't foresee myself ever being in any other business, there's just a rush. There's an adrenaline rush that comes with chasing stories, with being on the scene, with being live. And I imagine you were probably catching a lot of that bug too.
In the beginning, when you're young, I remember my roommate Jake and I would always be like, live shots, we want live shots, until you don't want live shots anymore. And you don't want to be out in the freezing cold or rain, tornadoes, flooding, murders. That adrenaline, I don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
But I love the human side of my stories, and I've always been a people person. I've always loved getting to know people, and I'm the first to ask strangers, where are you from?
Yes.
Why did you move here? What do you do for work? Why do you love it? I love talking to people and getting to know who they are. Genuinely, I do. And that's the side of what, I think I bring now with my company. Yeah.
So you were in Pensacola until 2008, right? And then you decide to come back to Maine. Why did you want to come back here?
Well, I didn't. It's kind of a sad story, but I got a call from my stepmother in August of 2008, and she told me that my dad had terminal bone cancer and had 6 months to live. So I was about to leave the news, to be honest. I was applying for jobs. He lived outside of Boston and was going to Dana-Farber. And I knew that I had to either take a break and fly out and be there for my dad, or just move back altogether. And I knew I was going to lose him. And I didn't know if I could do that with being so far away from my family. So I actually had some interviews with the Bruins to get, again, completely out of TV news and do something more in philanthropic marketing. And that didn't work out. And I saw at the last, second, before I was getting exhausted of looking for new jobs, Portland, Maine had a reporter position open, and the parent company, Sinclair, was the same company that I worked for in Florida. So they interviewed me over the phone and offered me the job. My mom and I packed my U-Haul and drove from Florida to Portland, Maine in November. It was Thanksgiving weekend. I had no friends. It was freezing cold. I was super sad, but here I was. And my dad sadly passed in February. So just a few, but I was able to have enough time to go back and forth from Portland to Boston to see him and maintain, the career that I had worked so hard for like those 5 years. And so, and he loved Maine. We had a camp here, and I was filming in Machias, Maine. I posted something on Instagram, and my stepmom said, that was one of your dad's favorite places. And I said, I didn't even know he went to Machias. Machias is so far. And that night there was a gorgeous rainbow at my dinner scene. And I was like, this is, whatever you guys believe in, like that was a sign for me to know that I am in Maine in a place that he loved. And I have a company now that promotes this beautiful state. Like that's totally not by accident.
I think that phone call is probably one that is a big fear for a lot of people. When you received that phone call, what do you remember feeling in that moment?
I just kind of went numb. I remember feeling completely numb, and it was a Sunday in August in Florida. It was so hot, and I just sat in bed and cried the whole day. And my friends were so gracious and came over and brought me food. And I had one of my best friends, Jessica. She was my producer, lost her mom a few years prior to that. So we just hugged and cried, and I could cry talking about it. It was just a really sad time, but so much, came back on my life and my childhood, and like losing a parent and coming to terms with that, and then how my dad felt. And as much as I struggled in Maine in those early years, I'm so glad that I was able to show him my commitment to my love. And we didn't grow up together, so we had a little bit of a rocky road in life, but I was just really happy that he was able to see me, and I was able to see him during those times.
So why did you want to stay here when you had
Well, I didn't.
rocky experience? Okay.
Shortly thereafter, he passed. I called Pensacola back and my news director and said, Kyle, can I please come back? And of course, he was like, yeah, let's figure it out.
Oh, wow.
But then I, came back to the station, and they offered me the morning show. So it would be a full-time morning show anchor position that I had always wanted because of all the, I guess, newscasts. The morning was the most light. And I felt like that matched my personality the most, even though I was a night owl and had to wake up at 2 a.m. They offered that to me, and I thought this was a great advancement for me. And it didn't get any easier per se, but I really enjoyed my coworkers and didn't mind the time. I guess I was, again, single and 20 something years old, and got off the news at 11:30, 12, noon. And then I was able to coach tennis and do some other things that really fulfilled me. So it was the morning show position that kept me here.
At the CBS affiliate, right?
Yep, WGME.
Now, just backtracking a little bit, you had said that you were considering getting out of this industry altogether. Why were you just not feeling it anymore?
I wasn't really thinking, because it was the time when my dad was sick. So I wasn't even in my right state of mind. I was just like, whatever I can do to get to Boston or close enough to Boston. And I still wasn't in love with the news. Again, I didn't love the stories I was, reporting on. And so I really didn't care to get out, although I had sacrificed so much in those years to get to where I was at in Pensacola. It kind of pained me to think that I potentially would be throwing that all away for nothing. But again, even in Florida, I was making no money. I remember one time, having $2 in my checking account before payroll, and eating Jake and I would just eat mac and cheese and God knows what else, and hope that if one of us got asked out on a date, the other one could crash in, eat the food or get a free drink. Yeah, those were good, humbling times.
And look at you now. You've made it. All right. So you're working at the CBS affiliate morning show on air. Take me into the grind of the morning show lifestyle. I assume you're going on 6 a.m.?
4:30.
4:30 for that show. Oh my gosh. All right. So you're waking up at what time?
2:15. And then, I was in there by say 3:15 in my jammies, no makeup, wet hair, like blow dry it there or, not at all. But it was like a zombie. I mean, but again, I thank God I loved my coworkers because our meteorologist, Sarah Long, and I just had such a great relationship and it was exciting, and fun to see her in the morning and get through with tons of coffee.
Yeah, I've done schedules like that before in various media companies, and it never gets easier. Your body never gets used to it.
Nope. I'm really cranky still if I don't get it, and being a mom, you never get sleep. So, I still really love my sleep.
Yeah.
Even though I don't get a lot of it, but that's okay. Yeah, it was a grind. I did that for, how many years did I do that? 8, maybe?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, you left the CBS affiliate to then go join the ABC one shortly after, right?
Yep.
So you were on the morning shows here in Portland. What was so fun and fulfilling about that?
Again, the team I had and the content we produced was, again, more fitting to my personality and interests. I started a show called Good Day Maine, which was on the Fox affiliate, which the CBS affiliate owned. So I would do the morning show for WGME from 4:30 to 7. And then I think from 7 to 9, I produced and co-hosted a 2-hour live show called Good Day Maine. And really that was the kind of impetus for me to know that I could actually do this on my own someday because it was so challenging and hard. It was like the beginning of, I didn't know it at the time that I was going to start Maine Life Media, but it was like, okay, I can look back on how hard I worked and what I produced every single day and know that I can do this someday. And so I just really enjoyed the content and the people. But again, it was super hard. I mean, it was not easy. It was a grind.
Mm-hmm. And this is really during the time Portland is starting to get a glow up. People are starting to really find out about Portland and the food scene and the brewery scene. I remember I interviewed the CEO of the Holy Donut, and he said that their donut shop just happened to be planted in downtown Portland at the perfect time, and they blew up. So what was it like to witness that?
I mean, it's been amazing to watch Portland thrive and grow. And I still can't keep track of the many new businesses that are popping up because we are all over the state. But Portland is a wonderful city with great people that are invested here who have been alongside me for 17, 18 plus years that want to see it continue to thrive and grow. And it is a little gem. I mean, I have people all of the time, friends all over the country asking me, we're coming for a wedding or a bachelorette party. Like, what is there to do? And there's so much to do. It's hard to give them just one itinerary for a weekend, but it's delicious. It is delicious.
Portland's delicious.
It is delicious.
Coming up, Erin gives us some delicious restaurant recommendations, and she tells us why she nearly left the media business entirely and how Maine Life Media made its way on to television. All of that next, but first, Oomph Salon has been a true fixture here in Portsmouth for over a decade, built on incredible hair, a strong internal culture, and an experience that feels elevated without ever being intimidating. They specialize in custom color, lived-in blonding, precision cuts, extensions, and curl services. Basically, everything you want dialed in before a night out downtown or a stroll through the West End. I'm talking grabbing dinner at Mojo's, Louie's, or popping into Loaded Question feeling fully put together. Oomph is also the highest-rated salon in all of New England on Google, which doesn't happen by accident. That kind of rating comes from years of consistency, trust, and clients who keep coming back. Their team is made up of career-driven, highly trained stylists who are constantly learning and growing, and you can feel that the moment you walk through their beautiful doors. And here's a pro tip. Oomph Salon offers a $45 happy hour haircut Tuesday through Thursday from 2 to 5 p.m. for same-day calls only. To learn more about any of their services or to book an appointment, head to oomph.salon. Also, after getting your hair done at Oomph, you might as well pay a visit to Jenn, one of the very best photographers the Seacoast has to offer. She's worked in the biz for 15 years, and she's the go-to photographer for small business owners who need to update their websites, spice up their social media, or replace those same headshots that you've been using for the last decade, because it is definitely time to get rid of those. Jenn's reputation is immaculate. I know that firsthand, that she takes excellent care of her clients. Many of her clients have been friends of mine, and I know that she always goes the extra mile to ensure that you are happy. She's a delight to work with throughout the entire process, and she always delivers her final products on time and to your satisfaction. Jenn especially loves working with farmers, restaurant owners, and any other go-getters who are chasing small business dreams. If that's you, you're in luck. Jenn is offering Seacoast Stories listeners 10% off your first photography session with her. All you have to do is send her a direct message on Instagram at Jenn Bakos Photo. Tell her you're a fan of the show and that you'd like to take her up on the offer. Again, that's JENNBAKOS Photo on Instagram. Thank you, Jenn Bakos, and thank you, Oomph Salon, for supporting today's episode. Now here's Erin Ovalle again to explain what leads her to leave her past life behind to pursue her own path instead.
After I left WGME, went to WMTW, I was there, I think, for 2 years when I started to get the itch, like it was an entrepreneurial itch. And my dad was an entrepreneur, so I feel like I definitely kind of always... I remember our conversations as a kid asking him about his business, and I started getting an itch. And so that's when Style Me Portland, my boutique, came to life. Again, I'm seeing all these events. I was spending money on dress. I love dresses. Like girls either have, their nails, their shoes, their bags. Like my thing was dresses. And so I started kind of a dress boutique beauty bar, and I would wake up at 2 a.m., go on the morning news, get out at say noon, and then go open my boutique and work my boutique for, the remainder of the day, and had, partners with me as well. But that was the beginning of my business entrepreneurial itch. And I learned so much, and that opened in 2014. So I'd say in 2013 is when I started getting the itch to do something else and to explore and expand.
And what did the entrepreneurial side of things offer you that you weren't getting in the previous career?
I mean, I became a teleprompter reader and a cheerleader for the station. And I was not fulfilled with that. I mean, I wasn't really going out in the field anymore. And so I was the face of the morning show with my co-anchor. And then I would go and volunteer and be really involved, which I loved that part of it. But I was at these eggs and issues and the chamber, breakfasts, talking to all of these business people and wanting more, and wanting to learn more and to tell more stories. And, we didn't really have the bandwidth, at many local stations. They're cutting costs and people. So the ribbon cutting or the new restaurant that opened, none of that was getting covered. And it was the water main breaks and the fires and the doom and the gloom that was, on the news and leading it. So I was just ready for something different, but, didn't know what that was until I think it was summer of 2015 is when I started to think about the next, because my contract was coming up. So I was like, okay, am I going to sign another 3-year contract or figure this out?
So how did you land upon the concept that became Maine Life Media?
My co-anchor was a new mom, and during commercial breaks, or I think it was during a commercial break, she was wearing a shirt or a sweatshirt that said #MomLife. So it was her, she's a new mom. And I looked at her after talking about ISIS for 4 hours that morning. And I said, gosh, wouldn't it be so cool to have a show called Maine Life that just talked about the positive stories that are happening in Maine that we can't cover? And she was like, totally, that sounds so good. So I sit down during commercial break and I Google how to start your own TV show. That was before Chat GPT, and they didn't really have any answers. So I don't know, the light bulb went off and I was like, oh my gosh, I think this could be something. And at the time we had Bill Green, who is a legend in Maine, and he had Bill Green's Maine. And I just thought, he was, he did all sorts of stories, but a lot of his focus was the outdoors. And I thought, well, geez, I am a younger, female, I could maybe have a different perspective and go out and try to tell my own stories around the state and see where it gets me. And so that's when kind of the flood of ideas came to me, and Chronicle and my intern at WMUR and those stories, and really just the culmination of my career coming together to figure out how to do this.
And when you told the people in your life at this point, your plan, hey, I'm going to leave behind the traditional broadcast route to go pursue my own thing, just positive stories when we know that if it bleeds, it leads. And the positive side is far more of an uphill battle than just your general news.
My mom, who is like my biggest cheerleader, was like the most taken aback by it just because she had seen what I had gone through to get to where I was and the sacrifice that I made for the news. And she was, I think, scared shitless. Like, oh my God, what are you doing? Like, you're not going to have any money. Like, what are you thinking? But I will say one of my good friends, Carrie Lonsdale, who quit her job to basically donate hours to help me do it. She was like, this is an amazing idea. I believe so much in it. There's such a need for this in Maine. And I've never been in media, but I'm going to figure this out with you and let's do it. And I was like, what? We went out to dinner that night and I was like, seriously? Like, really? I'm going to do this? And I don't think people took me as serious in the beginning as I was about myself. I mean, I've dealt with that my whole life. But I think a lot of people thought I would fail pretty soon. And for me, that just wasn't an option. So the first year, 2016 into 2017, I say I blacked out because I was working so hard to make it work.
Yeah. What was the first step toward making Maine Life Media a thing? Google didn't give you a straight answer. So what was the first step?
Yeah, I went back to my community roots and I called on a few of like my friends that worked for larger companies and asked them what they thought about this idea and thought, would you ever sponsor something like this? And once I got some momentum there and some interest and excitement, I kind of figured out, okay, I'll put together a media kit and then I need distribution. So I ended up going back to WGME because WMTW at the time, I don't think I had mentioned it to them, but I needed to go. And I needed to figure out my distribution outlet. So at the time, I had a great relationship still with my former GM at WGME. And so they picked up the show first in its first season. But since then, I've been on NewsCenter Maine. So once I got that excitement.
Maine Life TV being the show.
Maine Life is the show, yeah. My flagship show. So that was 10 years ago. But once I got that momentum of WGME being excited about it and a few of my friends who were sponsoring it, I was like, okay, now I have to find a videographer and now I have to find an editor and stories and content and a content calendar. And that was fun. I mean, that's what I love doing is finding the stories and the people.
Same.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Clearly.
Yeah. At the end of it, you have taken on so many other responsibilities in your role now, and same for me. But I imagine at the end of the day, finding the stories, talking to the people, and seeing people, enjoy the businesses is what remains most gratifying for you.
When people tear up because I am, asking them about exactly what you're asking me, like, how did you start and why and how hard was it? And they get, I cry with them. I'm like, I can feel their love and the challenge and the heartbreaks along the way that go into running your own business. And it brings me so much joy that, like you, I have an outlet and an audience that want more of that content and those stories. And I can bring those people, to the forefront to give them support and to give them the love that they deserve.
How hard was it for you in the early days of Maine Life? What were the struggles, the roadblocks that you were running up against?
I could cry about it just talking about it. It was so hard. In addition to starting the company and leaving that paycheck, I went through a breakup and had to completely, not only like mourn the broadcast side of my life and like what the identity that I had associated myself with being a news anchor. So like that was trying to figure out, who am I now? Like, who is Erin and what is she going to be doing? And how am I going to pay for it all? And then going through a breakup with somebody that you thought was going to be, potentially your person. I think I was 32 or 33 at the time. So my clock was now completely thrown off. So personally and professionally, having those two major changes was extremely, extremely hard. I had some dark days that I don't like to go back to, because it was not the best version of me, even though I persevered through it and knew that I, again, wasn't going to give up. I just had some really sad nights.
What did those sad nights look like?
Too much wine. I mean, I think I had a permanent red mark on your lips, red ring on your lips from drinking so much red wine. It was really hard. I mean, I went back to therapy and, again, you're starting a business. I was struggling financially, obviously, scraping by, and then trying to get out there and meet, again, everyone knows everyone in Portland. So I would then start dating in Boston, and I'd film until Thursday, and then I'd stay with my cousin in the North End in Boston to try to, get some new blood.
Yeah.
So it was depressing. I was lonely. I had, newfound anxiety that I had never had. Again, I was probably drinking too much wine and just not the best version of me.
So how did you pull yourself out of that funk?
I mean, I love my husband. I don't want to give him too much credit, though. No, I think when I met Jason, who I met in Boston, ironically, and he lived in Portland, I was trying to get away from.
Oh, that's funny.
I know. I don't know. I mean, I think I met him in year 2, I think, of Maine Life, and I think in our wedding vows somehow said, I saw the worst version of you, but knew that there was the best, in there and yet to come. And meeting him and just having that stability again, and somebody who really cared about me at the lowest of the low and believed in me and supported me. I think that definitely helped. But in addition to that, Maine Life was then starting to really pick up, and people were starting to watch the show and really give me feedback, and sponsorships were a little easier to sell. I had a stronger relationship with NewsCenter Maine, and Brian Cliff, the former GM there, believed so much in me too, that I thought, gosh, if I can have a few of these core people get behind me, and now they're expecting me to do this and producing, and so I can't let them down.
And so was the original concept for Maine Life TV, the flagship show, pretty much what it is now? You traveling around Maine, talking to the people, the businesses, and that show airs on a local TV station?
Yeah, I think it's definitely, it always, my mission was and is telling the positive stories about Maine, off the beaten path discoveries and the people that make it all happen. And that's morphed, a little bit more into lodging, dining activities, shop local, like that. I think people are really expecting and watching the show to write down and keep and save in their phone all the places we go, so that they can go and experience them too and support local. But that, again, is why I kind of spun the show and created all these other shows, including the main business show that I have now. That's one of the 2 that I'm currently producing, because there are so many stories to tell. But I think Maine Life now, it definitely has morphed into more of that lifestyle travel show.
Mm-hmm. When you had started Maine Life, part of the motivation for it was that you were feeling unfulfilled by what you were doing as a morning anchor with the doom and gloom stories. You didn't like it anymore. When you had really hit the ground running with Maine Life and things were starting to pick up, how differently did you feel? And was it as good as you had hoped it would feel?
Yes, 100%. And it hasn't gotten old. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm in season 11 and have produced over 1,000 stories.
Wow.
And I actually can't believe, there's so many people still out there that I want to meet, and the stories I want to tell, and the places around Maine that I want to go. So no, I was filming yesterday, and I was got home and in time to pick up my son, and I was like, what a great life. I made it, and I'm making a positive impact, and I'm a mom now, and I have a great husband, and I'm not drinking too much wine. And I'm providing, for myself and providing a service to the community that is positive, and that people, again, tear up when they tell their story. So I feel great about my journey now, and feel just really thankful that the few people in the beginning that supported me, that they know that, because without them, I don't know.
Was there a turning point moment that you can recall that really led to the growth of what you were doing? Was there a story? Was there a conversation? Was there a meeting? Anything like that?
So like many people in 2020, the pandemic changed everything for them. I obviously not only got pregnant and knew I was going to become a mom, but Bill Green, Maine's legendary storyteller, retired. So what happened was he was on at 7 p.m. and I was on after him at 7:30, which was an honor to be even, associated with his audience. And when he retired, Mr. Brian Cliff, the GM, said, "Do you think you can produce a full hour, and take over?" And so I was like, "Well, let's try it. Here we go. I've been through it all. Let's see if I can find enough, content." And that's when it really, and then of course everybody wanted to move to Maine, and I have people from California, Mississippi, Boston, Florida messaging me. We're binge watching Maine Life on YouTube.
Wow.
And it was wild. And so not only did, Mainers start really watching TV because they couldn't go outside and they wanted to support local, they started watching my show even more, and people were moving to Maine and using Maine Life as a resource for their move. It was definitely the turning point for me that changed everything. And when I had to decide, okay, I need to hire employees, because for a long time I just relied on subcontractors.
Okay. For videographers, editors.
Yep.
Okay.
And that's where I feel like I became a real business owner, was in year 5. I was like, okay, this is a thing and people really want it now and are watching.
Yeah. For as tragic as COVID was, I can't tell you how many people I've interviewed on this show where the pandemic was the flashlight moment, the I need to get my shit together moment, the man, what am I doing with my life? Why am I still at this job, still in this relationship? And then so many stories that I've covered on this show started during COVID because people were trying to figure out how to, achieve their dreams. And so it's funny that for as dark as times as those were, they were really also so great for so many of us, myself included. I mean, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing had the pandemic not happened either.
Yeah, I became a mom, which is the best thing that has ever happened to me.
Right?
December 2020. And I became a mom, and my business grew, 0 to 60, to be honest.
Wow. And then you started hiring actual employees.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And then adding on more shows.
New Hampshire Life. I started New Hampshire Life. I know.
What was that?
Yes. I hope to bring it back. I will have to follow up with you on this. I had to pause it last year due to losing a major sponsor and other things in Maine that were growing.
I'll have a word with them.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't want to say right now. I'll tell you later. I love New Hampshire Life. I had an amazing host and producer there, Kate Sullivan. So that's in 2021. I started New Hampshire Life and then started all these spinoffs. Went to Charleston, South Carolina, and produced a real estate show down there. That was really fun.
Oh, wow.
Nantucket produced a real estate and design show there. Just, again, kind of wanting to try to prove to myself that I was at that level now where I could start competing with other larger independent production companies. There aren't many of us out there. So wanted to, also prove Maine is not to be reckoned with. We are real. I feel people sometimes stereotype us as, vacation land, people that don't mean business, but we do. And I feel really proud when I get to represent Maine at the Emmy Awards in Boston to show people that we are the real deal here and we get to live in the best place.
Mm-hmm. 9-time Emmy nominated, right?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Haven't won yet, but that's
this is the year.
This is the year.
I saw that the Emmy nominations just closed. So I'm sure this will be the year that you get it done.
I hope so. Let's knock on some wood here.
10 years after the fact.
Yeah.
So obviously, as the profile was raising of everything that you're doing, you are taking on many hats. You are no longer just on air, just talking. You are now a true businesswoman running all semblances of the business, sponsorships, event appearances, hiring and leading people. How was all of that for you, considering that, so much of your career had just been talking to people on air?
Yeah, no, I'm still learning every day, as many business owners are. I had no business background, so I feel like really was thrown into getting my business degree in real time. It's still challenging. I mean, payroll and taxes and all the paperwork that I think a lot of business owners don't love about running a business. So sometimes I get frustrated that I'm no longer doing all of the fun stuff. I've hired people to do a lot of that as well to help. But yeah, I mean, running a business is difficult and challenging, and you need to be on top of a lot of different things just to keep it going, never mind actually producing the product that a business, does. And for us, TV shows takes a lot of travel and time, and people want to see me too sometimes on camera. So it's just juggling a lot of different hats. But I'm so proud to be a business owner and to have learned and experienced now what I hope to teach my son about entrepreneurship and being your own boss. Like, wouldn't have it any other way. Yeah.
I imagine this has probably been a big struggle because it has for me. I'd say there's been a few interviews, not today, I feel great. There's been a few interviews where I've kind of like taken the business struggles into the interview. The interview is at the core of everything I do, and I have to fully show up. But I would say there's been maybe a couple recent interviews, and I'm my own harshest critic, so maybe this doesn't come across to anyone, but where I've allowed the struggles of the business to make its way on air. So for you, I imagine it's difficult having to, you might, just have gotten off some call with a sponsor that didn't go the way that you wanted to. And then you have to go put on a happy face and be on air and talk to the local candle maker.
That's funny you say that. And yeah, a lot of people don't, unless they're in a forward-facing industry,
right.
Realize, yeah. And I have not a lot, but I have a handful of things that are in my life that I'm dealing with. My mom, who's moving to Maine, I'm so excited, but she is just diagnosed with Parkinson's, and some other personal things that I deal with that people don't know and I don't talk about, but have no idea that I'm going through it. And yeah, not only do you have to present to the audience, but you have to connect to the person that you're interviewing and make sure they feel comfortable and you're getting the best of them. So you can't show the worst of you when you're trying to get the best of them. So it takes a lot of energy and emotion. Yeah, totally. I see what you mean by that.
So a lot of people ask me, Troy, how do you do it all? Because this is, mainly a one-man show. I'm doing all the recording, editing, interviewing, producing, promotion, event planning, et cetera, et cetera. My answer always is, I have no pets. I have no plants. I'm single. I have nothing to care for other than myself. That's how I can churn out an episode and 10 social posts a week and do everything I do. You, on the other hand, though, married, mother, and you do all this. So I want to ask you, I'm sure you've been asked a million times, how do you do all this? Because this is a lot.
I feel like many people answer this question similarly and say that you'll never feel great at the end of the day because there's so much more that you could be doing. Mm-hmm. However, I feel like in my son's, earlier year 1 and 2, I was really not as present as I wanted to be because I was still really at that, time growing and investing money, which means you have to work even 10 times harder, obviously, when you have employees that depend on you. And so now that I've been, fortunate enough to grow the business to a place where I could hire Adrian, my COO, and hire Hannah, my producer and host, and Shelby and Mike and Andrew, and have Vanessa still and Johnny, and they all contribute to the day-to-day of what I'm doing. I'm now the mama bear that everyone is reporting to, but I'm delegating and they're going out and doing it so I can pick my son up from school. I can go on a field trip, but that doesn't mean that at 11 at night, I'm not going over my Excel spreadsheets and making sure everything is looking good. But I feel like for the first time in a long time, I'm in a really great place of somewhat of a balance and I can pick and choose, I've emceed events for 10 years. I've given up weekends and nights. And now, I'm kind of here's Hannah. She's single and amazing and talented and beautiful. And she can do it because I'm going to be home with my family. So it is super hard. And it's hard to say no because all these organizations I so adore and love and, want to be able to support. So I can do that though through my team who can then go out and help me and still give the the promotion to these people and businesses.
I imagine, because mine certainly are, I imagine your DMs, your email inboxes are just flooded with requests for, hey, we're this nonprofit in this part of Maine. We do X, Y, and Z. Can you come do a story on us? I imagine you get a lot of those messages.
I do.
How do you manage with that influx and interest?
Yeah. I mean, we have, charts in different geographic areas that we keep those recommendations and ideas so that if we do have an opening for an editorial story, that we know where to find something in Sanford or Kittery or Fort Kent, wherever it may be. And we can go back into our archive and say, oh, that person was really nice and they reached out. Let's give them some love. But now it's become really either by theme. The episodes are by theme or by region. And you really have to stick to that because otherwise it could be all willy-nilly and all over the place. And I don't think people understand that. And they're watching the show because they love it and the flow and the consistency of it. So if I just started to interview each segment with something completely different, it wouldn't, flow. And again, maybe being a perfectionist, like I want it to be the best storytelling out there. And so I do have to kind of remind people, like, we're not the news. We don't cover events. Like the news, turns nightly. We are like 2 weeks out, maybe 3 weeks, sometimes 4 weeks on production and editing and airing. So a lot goes into what we do. And I just have to keep educating people on that because they just don't know.
I want to talk to you about Seacoast Stories Dinner Club. Do you know what this is?
Yeah, I follow you.
Great.
Yeah.
So we're bringing Dinner Club to Portland on February 18th. We are expanding, at least for the winter months, to 2 a month. We've traditionally been doing dinner clubs on Wednesday nights, once a month in a different Seacoast town. We go to a bunch of different restaurants in that town. We take it over, a bunch of my listeners and I. But I've been getting so many requests to go to other towns. People are like, you need to bring this to Northern New Hampshire. You need to bring this here, X, Y, and Z. So starting in February, we're going to expand to 2 a month, 1 Seacoast location, 1 non-Seacoast location. Your non-Seacoast locations being Newburyport, Portland, Manchester, Concord, and maybe a few others. So we're coming to Portland on the 18th. Erin, give me a couple restaurants that we absolutely have to go to. I know very little about the Portland food scene, but I know that is probably what it's best known for. So if you could give me a list of maybe 5 to 10 restaurants that I should send attendees to on the night of the 18th for Dinner Club, where do you think we should go?
I'm bummed I'm going to not be in Maine, or I would be at your dinner club because I would love to meet your friends. Well, for sure, you have to end the night at the East Ender and their karaoke because it is
speaking to my heart.
Cannot be missed. It is so much fun. I actually brought Tuukka Rask there when he was here for the celebrity golf tournament, and he came up to me. I was emceeing an event. He was like, you know Portland. Where can I go to sing karaoke? Wow. And I'm like, Tuukka Rask from the Bruins is talking to me and wants me to take him out. So he actually got in my car, and my kid, he's so slender, he fit into my son's car seat, and I drove him over to the East Ender.
You drove a Bruins player?
I know. It's a good story.
Okay.
Yeah. My husband is like, wait, it's so late. Where are you? I'm like, I have Tuukka Rask in Brooks's car seat. I'll be home later. But we took him to the East Ender, and they are so much fun. So you definitely have to end your night there. Dry Dock has just been reopened under new ownership with Luke from Luke's Lobster. They did a gorgeous job on their renovation. And, anywhere up and down Commercial Street, you can't, have a bad meal. And then there's Terralingua, which is kind of outer Washington, and they're great, like kind of Texas style, yummy, smoked stuff. Their sister restaurant, Ocotillo, is in the West End, which is open now, I think, for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but their food is amazing and their drinks are even better. So I would definitely check that out. And then can I just give a shout out to our OG friends like at DeMillo's? I mean, I know that it's a tourist destination, but the bar, the locals, you'll find the winter fishermen and locals and their bartenders have been there forever and are just so warm and friendly. So I love kind of sneaking in off season to go and check out my friends at DeMillo's. So,
wow.
And there's so many in between. So just keep do a little pub crawl.
That's a good little list. Well, thank you. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for East Ender karaoke. It's a shame you're not going to be in town though. It's a shame.
It's February break. Bummer.
We'll just have to do it
I'll
again.
follow your Instagram.
Yes, please. Quick rapid fire, kind of a similar vein. Couple of different categories. Coffee shop. Best coffee shop in Portland, in your opinion. Go.
Oh my gosh. There are so many, but I guess Bard comes to mind because it was kind of the first place that I felt like saved me when I started Maine Life Media. I was in Bard all the time, and they make the hearts with the froth, and I was like, I love you.
Okay, Bard Coffee, great spot. Pizza.
Ooh, gosh, our pizza episode. Are we talking Portland or Maine?
Portland.
Okay, well, I have to give a shout out to the Makuchis and their thick slab pizza is just so delicious. Gosh, I love crust though. My husband likes thin crust. I love thick crust.
You like it thick.
Yeah.
Okay. Lastly, and most importantly, lobster roll.
Oh man, I can't do that one because you've got so many different options in the way that they, present lobster rolls.
First of all, do you prefer it hot or cold?
I like mine buttered.
Okay. Hot with butter.
But I mean, you've got Eventide, and the way that they do their lobster roll is so different than Luke's Lobster traditional roll. And then you've got 12, which is an upscale, newer restaurant that, it's delicious, but it's, this big on just yummy bread or whatever they do to it. So everything is so presented, differently. I don't know. That's a hard question.
Okay.
But I love lobster in the winter. It makes me happy and feel like, summer is right around the corner, isn't it?
That's Erin Ovalle of Maine Life Media. To check out more of her work, you can subscribe to Maine Life Media on YouTube and follow her on Instagram at Erin Ovalle, where she has 15,000 followers. If Erin made you excited while talking about some of her favorite Portland restaurants, then allow me to invite you to join us in Portland for Seacoast Stories Dinner Club on Wednesday, February 18th at 6:30 p.m. To make new friends, support local businesses, and do something a little bit different, just click the Dinner Club link in the show notes. And a reminder, as always, that if you see me around the Seacoast this week, please stop me and say hi. I would love to hear your story. Until our special Valentine's Day bonus episode on Friday, have a great week, everybody. I'll talk to you soon. Live free or die.